Okay, today is Monday, February 11th, and we are going to do Eureka Math Module 4, Lesson 10. Today what we're going to be learning how to do is comparing and solving equations that have parentheses. Okay, so we're going to talk a lot about what parentheses mean and how to use words and numbers and pictures to help us compare and solve these kinds of equations. We've talked about PEMDAS before, yes? PEMDAS is our short acronym, our short code word that reminds us about the order of operations. It tells us the order that we do operations in. That's why it's called the order of operations, right? And P stands for what? Parentheses. Okay, good. And we know that E stands for exponents, M stands for multiplication and division. These two are together, right? And then addition and subtraction go last. The only reason why I'm only writing parentheses is because I want to show you where in PEMDAS is parentheses. First. Parentheses in equations is a way of saying do this first. Parentheses means do this first. Write that down. Here we see parentheses. Right here and right here. So what part do we need to do first? The 1 plus 2, right? If I want to put this into words, though, I would say half of the sum of 1 and 2, right? What part would I need to do first? In order to find half of the sum of 1 and 2, don't I first have to add 1 and 2 before I can find out what half of it is? Right? So parentheses in words just means do this, and when you see the numbers, it means do this first. But when I say it in words, half of the sum of 1 and 2. Did the sum of 1 and 2 come first or second in the word order? Second. So is that always going to go first in words? No. We're going to pay attention to that as we go through today's lesson. So when it says to write an expression, that means use numbers to write what's going on, and then we have to solve it to find the value. So let's just, before you even draw anything, let's take a look. What do we notice? Well, we have a tape diagram. What's the entire tape worth? 17 plus 4. Okay. So we know we have 17 plus 4. Are we finding all of 17 plus 4? Just a part of it, a fraction of it, huh? What fraction of, how many units did we split it into? 4. And how many of those units are we looking for? So what fraction is that? So we're finding 1/4 of, what math symbol means of? Times. 1/4 of 17 plus 4. I have to add parentheses because I'm trying to find the entire sum. This is one unit, one amount. If I didn't have those parentheses, I would do 1/4 of 17 and then add 4. Is that what it says to do? So here we need these parentheses because we're showing we need to first find the entire sum of 17 plus 4. We have to do that first before we can find 1/4 of it. Does that make sense? So this is the number expression that matches the diagram. Okay? Does that make sense? What I want you to do is draw the diagram, write the number expression, and then write this in words. How would you explain what's going on here in words? So in this problem, we're given that one section is the difference between 1/3 and 1/4. But we're trying to find the entire piece of tape. Well, how does the section we're given relate to this section right here? It's the same. What about this one? What about this one? What about this one? So are we making copies of the difference of 1/3 and 1/4? How many copies are we making? 5. So we can say this is 5 copies of the difference of 1/3 and 1/4. In math, if I want to make 5 copies of this value, the difference of 1/3 and 1/4, what part do I have to do first? Multiply something by 5 or subtract 1/3 and 1/4? Subtract 1/3. Yeah, so if I know I'm going to be doing that first, what do I have to do? Put it in parentheses. Okay, and once I find that value, what does the tape diagram tell me I need to do? Make 5 copies of it. So if I'm going to solve this, I would find the difference between 1/3 and 1/4 and then make 5 copies of it. Go ahead and do that in your notebook. This time we have words, and we have to write a number expression, and then we have to solve it. So it says 1/8 the sum of 23 and 5. Okay, so when we say sum, we know we're doing what? Addition. Very good. If I'm going to find 1/8 the size of something, Should I multiply by 1/8 first, or should I find the sum first? So what does that mean? We're going to put the sum in parentheses. And we're finding the sum of 17 and 23. And then if we want to find 1/8 of it, what does that mean we need to do? Multiply it by 1/8. Very good. So your expression would be in parentheses 23 plus 17, and then times 1/8. Can the 1/8 come before or after the parentheses? Does it matter? No. Let's solve it then. What's 23 plus 17? 40. We have to multiply it by 1/8. How can I write that as one fraction? 40 times 1/8. Prisha?
40 times 1/8.
Very good. What's 40 times 1/8? 40 over 8. What is 40 divided by 8? 5. So the value of this expression is 5. When you see these kinds of problems, you have to give me two parts, because it says to write an expression. That's this part. And then it says solve, which is this part. Okay, so these kinds of questions have two parts to them. I want to know, out of these 6 expressions, which ones are equivalent, and how do we know? Okay, so the first one says 2 divided by 3 times 4. Do you see any parentheses telling us which parts to do first? No. So what's another way? That means we just do, if there's no parentheses, that means we do it in order, right? What's one way to write 2 divided by 3? 2/3 times 4. So that's one way to write that, right? What's another way to write that? 2 times 4 over 3. All over 3. Okay, very good. What about the second one? 2 divided by, in parentheses, 3 times 4. What does that mean we have to do first? 3 times 4, right? And then so it's 3, so it would be 2 divided by 3 times 4. So you'll notice these two equations, they have all the same numbers. 2 divided by 3 times 4. 2 divided by 3 times 4. Do they have the same value? This is 8 over 3, and this is 2 over 12. Do 8/3 and 2/12 have the same value?
No.
So you can see that the parentheses really change the values, huh? Are these two expressions equivalent? No. Okay, let's move on. 4/3 doubled. That means I have 4/3 doubled. When I double something, I multiply by 2, right? Isn't that the same thing as 4 times 2 over 3?
Yes.
So are these two equivalent?
Yes.
So you can see when you write them in different forms, I can see that these two right away are equivalent. I couldn't tell that because this is 2 divided by 3 times 4. This is 4/3 doubled. Could I tell that just by looking at the words? I have to write to see what the numbers mean. There's 3 more examples right here. I want you to see if any of these are equivalent to what we've circled. Write down this one, and this one in your notebook. See if you can get them into some form that will show you if they are equivalent or not.